Hi class, today we're going to start a new book that is called Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. Before we do start that, I do think it is important to start with a brief introduction of who the author is and some historical context about the book. So Jason Reynolds, he grew up in Maryland in an unincorporated suburb of Washington, D.C., and while he was a student, he felt really frustrated with his teachers because of what they were assigning for him to read. So he often found that he couldn't necessarily relate to the characters or even get interested in the book because it seemed like it had nothing to do with his own lived experiences. Because of that, he didn't read a book until he was about 17 years old, which is crazy. Two things began to turn Reynolds onto literature and poetry: rap music in the form of Queen Latifah's album Black Rain as a young kid, and Richard Wright's novel Black Boy as an older teen. So he used Queen Latifah's music he used that as an inspiration to write poetry all throughout his teen years and throughout college, even though, like, fun fact, he did fail some English classes. His first novel was co-written with Jason Griffin, who was a critical and financial failure, and then he took a job at a clothing store while that he kind of gave up on writing. But then, of course, a good friend came by and encouraged him to write in his own voice. So the result was mostly about young Black characters living in neighborhoods that resemble the one where he grew up in, and his goal was to help improve literacy rates, and specifically to help convert book haters by writing books that he would have been interested in as a young person. So for any of you guys out there that feel like you don't like to read, it is most likely because you haven't found something that you're interested in reading, maybe something that you don't feel you can identify with. So this is pretty cool to learn that this is the reason why he started writing novels and poetry. So some historical context about the book: it was inspired by his experiences working with incarcerated youth whose fates he acknowledged could have easily been his own. When he was 19, his best friend was murdered, and in some interviews he speaks about this, where he was very angry to the point where he felt like he could have hunted down and like killed the person who they believed killed his best friend. But their deceased friend's mother talked him down, and so she insisted that no one else's mother should feel the way that she did. So this book talks a lot about the culture of loyalty, revenge, and violence that exist in some American neighborhoods, especially those with gang violence or drug activity. And though the novel doesn't talk too much about it, it also includes what role the police have in these situations. So there's a lot of police and Black communities that mistrust of one another. So that's just some background on this. I'm going to read a couple of pages to get us started. So, my name is William Holloman, but to my friends and people who know me just Will. So call me Will, because after I tell you what I'm about to tell you, you'll either want to be my friend or not want to be my friend at all. Either way, you know me. I'm only William to my mother and my brother Sean whenever he was trying to be funny. Now I'm wishing I would have laughed more at his dumb jokes, because the day before yesterday, Sean was shot and killed. I don't know you. Don't know your last name if you got brothers or sisters or mothers or fathers or cousins that be like brothers and sisters, or aunties or uncles that be like mothers and fathers. But if the blood inside you is on the inside of someone else, you never want to see it on the outside of them. The sadness. It's just so hard to explain. Imagine waking up and someone, a stranger, got you strapped down, got pliers shoved into your mouth, gripping a tooth, somewhere in the dark, one of the big important ones, and rips it out. Imagine the knocking in your head, the pressure pushing through your ears, the blood pooling. But the worst part, the absolute worst part, is the constant slipping of your tongue into the new empty space where you know a tooth supposed to be, but it ain't no more. Alright, those were the first two pages. And now that we have somewhat of an understanding of how the book is, like where the book might be headed, I do want to give you guys the opportunity to provide your own story. So what is, knowing the author's history and knowing where the book is somewhere headed, it would be really nice for you guys to have like a short writing activity where you could provide a story about your own upbringing or your own community that played a large impact in who you are. So we'll take some time and we'll do that now, and then we'll reconvene and have a discussion, possibly find us relating a bit with the author or with the sense of the historical context. All right.